Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into Jhumpa Lahiri's The Third and Final Continent, a really powerful story about the quiet, often overlooked journey of an immigrant building a life from the ground up in a brand new world. So, the story kicks off with our narrator's first huge journey. He leaves India back in 1964, and after 3 weeks on a cargo ship, he lands in London. He's a penniless Bengali bachelor, sharing a crowded house with a bunch of other young guys all trying to figure things out. Then, in 1969, when he's 36, his whole life gets turned upside down. First, he gets a job offer in America, at MIT no less. And, right around the same time, his family arranges his marriage to a woman in Calcutta named Mala. So just like that, he's propelled across another ocean to his third continent. Now get this, he lands in Boston on what might be one of the most monumental days in American history, the exact day men walked on the moon. The whole plane erupts in cheers, but he just feels like a total outsider, completely cut off from this huge celebration happening all around him. His only real companion at this point is a guidebook, giving him these small but, totally crucial clues to this new world. And we're not just talking about vocabulary words here. These differences represent a whole new way of life he has to learn, a little taste of the huge adjustments ahead. So, his first few days? They're marked by this really deep sense of isolation. His room at the YMCA is just unbearably loud. His very first meal is a box of cornflakes he eats at his desk, and that feeling of being completely and utterly alone, it's just overwhelming. A really stark contrast to the whole promise of a new life. So he needs to get out of the noise. He finds a room for rent in a quiet house, and it's owned by a tiny, incredibly old and, well, let's just say a truly formidable woman named Mrs. Croft. Right from their very first meeting, she is an absolute force of nature. We're talking shouting commands from inches away, insisting on her super strict, unbending rules. For a guy who's never even lived with a non-Indian before, it is one heck of a shocking introduction to American life. And this is where it gets really weird. A bizarre and kind of awkward nightly ritual develops between them. Every single evening, he's ordered to sit next to her, listen to her announce that there's an American flag on the moon, and then, on command, he has to reply with one word: splendid. So as you can imagine, our narrator is just completely baffled by her. I mean, her behavior, her old-fashioned ways, it's all a mystery. But then her daughter Helen pays a visit, and she reveals this incredible, almost unbelievable truth about Mrs. Croft. Mrs. Croft is 103 years old. Let that sink in. 103. And that single fact just completely changes how the narrator sees her. She's not just some peculiar landlady anymore. She's a living piece of history. A miracle, really. He learns she's a widow who raised her kids all by herself, a woman of just immense resilience. I mean, she survived on nothing but canned soup after she turned 100. This new knowledge just deepens his sense of awe, and he starts to feel this quiet sense of responsibility for her. Okay, so after 6 weeks in Mrs. Croft's house, the narrator has to face his next big challenge. And this is the central one. His wife, Mala, is arriving. A woman, remember, who he only knew for 5 days in Calcutta before they got married. Their first week together is just filled with this heavy, awkward silence. They're two people bound by tradition, sure, but not yet by any real affection. He has to get used to everything about her. The smell of coconut oil in her hair, the jingle of her bracelets, just the basic fact of her presence in his space. Then one night, kind of on an impulse, he takes Mala for a walk and finds himself leading her back to Mrs. Croft's house, the very place his American life really began. This totally unplanned visit, well, it becomes the emotional turning point for the entire story. But when they get there, they realize something is wrong. Mrs. Croft isn't on her usual bench. They find her lying in the parlor. She'd fallen and broken her hip. And when she sees Mala, this total stranger in her house, she just glares and demands to know who she is. So you have to picture this. Mrs. Croft, a woman born way back in 1866, looks at Mala, who's wearing a traditional Indian sari, a sight she has probably never seen in her life, and she gives her this complete and total approval. In that one moment, her simple declaration just bridges every cultural and emotional gap in that room. The narrator is so stunned by what Mrs. Croft says that he just laughs. And Mala hears him. For the very first time, they actually look at each other and smile. It's a shared, private moment of connection. and it marks the true beginning of their life together. That one single moment of shared amusements, all brought about by a 103-year-old woman, becomes the fragile foundation for their entire marriage and their new life in America. From that point on, you see their life together really start to unfold. They explore Boston, they make friends, they mourn Mrs. Croft's passing together. Decades fly by. They go from being total strangers to being true partners, raising a family and putting down deep roots in their third and final continent. Looking back on his life, the narrator doesn't see his journey as some heroic epic, not like the astronauts who went to the moon. He sees it as something pretty ordinary, actually. And yet, he's still bewildered by all of it, every step, every person. He recognizes it as a quiet, ordinary, and yet deeply profound achievement. And in the end, the story really challenges our definition of adventure. It suggests that, yes, some journeys are marked by flags on the moon, but others are measured in these quiet moments of connection, in building a home, and in finding our place on a third and final continent. And in doing so, it makes the ordinary seem truly extraordinary.